He went undrafted out of Missouri, even though he was a Heisman finalist. Spent 14 seasons in the league. Chase Daniel joining the herd. What's up, Chase? You had a great career, spent a lot of time with a lot of quarterbacks and teams. But I need to ask you about one quarterback. I don't think that you played with him, but his name is Aaron Rodgers, and he's in the media a lot lately saying some quasi-wacky stuff. But he actually went on a radio show or a podcast and said that the Jets are must-see TV. I'm going to play the audio for you here, and then tell me your thoughts on Aaron Rodgers being and the Jets, the lowly Jets being must-see TV.
I mean, he's not lying.
Oh,
he's not lying. That's what's crazy about it. Like I would tend to agree with him, and I love how confident he is. I mean, that's Aaron Rodgers to a T. Almost cocky. He's got it coming to him if they don't win some football games. Yeah, I know they're in 6 primetime games, but I just love the confidence. Look, they went out and they've gotten a lot better. And he's right when he says, "Hey, look, I played 6 snaps or whatever it was. Like, I have to stay healthy." If he stays healthy, dude, I really think that they are a legitimate playoff team. Like, that defense is always going to be good. That was the thing last year that they really, really didn't have was another quarterback but besides Aaron Rodgers, and they go out and get a really good backup. But I think at the end of the day, it's New York, right? So anything that guy says, even wacky or not wacky, it's going to get a lot of play. I mean, NFL schedule makers think that they are must-watch TV, and I would tend to agree with them. I'm really looking to see how he's going to play because even his last year in Green Bay, he didn't play great. His numbers weren't great. But he's still got it in him. I really do think that. It's just, can he get it out of the tank? Can he get that connection with Mike Williams, who's going to be new too, which I think is a really good under the radar signing. So I love it. I love the quote. I think it's pretty funny in my opinion.
Yeah, you know Williams from your days with the Chargers. I do need to ask, you've been in a lot of locker rooms as a quarterback. We're in a weird media age where guys are going on podcasts now every week, and they're saying some inflammatory stuff. It's not all football. It's some politics. It's religion. I am just curious. You're obviously aware of some of the Rodgers stuff. I don't know, Chase. Like, what do you think the vibe is in the locker room when Aaron Rodgers walks in after he was nearly a vice presidential candidate on a guy's ticket here? Like, I have no idea what that vibe is like, but you've been in locker rooms. Can you think of anything similar that you've witnessed?
Yeah, I mean, not like this, not with everything he's said in the media, not that everything like he's been outspoken about when it came to pandemic and whatnot and everything else on the docket, which is just, you could talk really the whole show about that. But what I have heard from people in the locker room is he is really just a down-to-earth guy in the locker room. Like, he might be outspoken in the media, which he is outspoken in the media. But when it comes time to work, like I heard he was really supportive. He was in quarterback meetings last year when he was hurt. And he's a fun dude. Like, I know him and I've met him a few times. We talked from our days in Green Bay, or when he was in Green Bay, when I was in Chicago. And he seems like a great dude. Now, what he believes that's up to him. I'm not going to comment on that. That's what he believes in. But I will say, in a locker room setting, it can cause a lot of distraction if you are that way within the locker room. But everyone that I've heard that's talked to him, he's really not that way in the locker room. Like, he's just one of the guys. And that's really what you need. Like, you got to be a human being first and foremost. And I think he is that. He relates to guys, even though he's on the older age. But I do think that his teammates like him for sure.
So it's one of those, you got to divorce the art from the artist. This guy might be saying all this stuff, but he walks in his locker room, check your religion at the door, check all that stuff. We don't need it. Because listen, your Chiefs are going through some of that, with the Rashee Rice situation and the Harrison Butker comments. Like, again, the Chiefs have had a lot of success, back-to-back Super Bowls. Some of that stuff can get glossed over. With the Jets, it's like, guys, you haven't made the playoffs in like 13 seasons.
Oh, 100%. Yeah. I mean, for sure. And that's what it is with the Chiefs. It's like, they're probably going to go and they're probably going to make another deep playoff run. Right. And that's just how they do it, regardless of what happens off the field in the offseason. Now, they have had a lot of controversy. I'm sure Brad G, who is the media guy over there now, once our guy left to go to Chicago, Brad G is probably not liking the offseason attention, but he's going to get through it. They're going to get through it. And quite honestly, when it comes to football, like, they still got a really, really good team. I don't care about the schedule. I don't care about anything. Look, that offensive tackle situation, they need to figure that out. Travis Kelce, he's my guy. He's lost a little bit of a step, but he's still probably their go-to guy. Hollywood Brown, is Rashee Rice going to play? There's so many question marks, but the thing about it is they had, in my opinion, more question marks on the field last year. Everyone counted them out, and they played up to their potential when they needed to play in December, January, and February, and won another Super Bowl. I mean, I'm here for a three-peat, man. I really do think. And you're crazy if not you, but just people in general, if you're counting out Patrick Mahomes and Andy Reid. Like, that's where it starts, and that's where it will end. At the end of the day, if Patrick Mahomes stays healthy, Andy Reid is calling up these plays, Matt Nagy, Steve Spagnuolo, which was the MVP, in my opinion, of the season. It was the first year last year that the Chiefs' defense was truly carrying their offense, and their offense finally got up to par in the playoffs and went on that run to win another Super Bowl. So I'm just going to see a lot of that. I don't think many people are going to be able to score a lot of points against them. So they have that ability on offense to figure it out, figure out that offensive tackle situation, figure out who is going to be playing receiver for them. You know, Hollywood Brown's out there. I love that signing. Fast, explosive. Andy Reid's going to have a field day with him.
All right, let's pivot to the Packers. This Jordan Love situation is interesting. So we saw Jared Goff get paid big time, $53 million a year. He's, I think, one of the, if not the highest, one of the highest paid quarterbacks in the league. And you've got Green Bay in the same division. Jordan Love's much smaller sample size, but it's kind of tricky. He is alluding to, I don't know if I'm going to show up. I don't know if I'm going to hold out. He probably won't, but you don't want this festering in the locker room. You don't want this disturbance, this distraction, especially when the vibes are so great off last year's run. How do you handle paying quarterbacks? As a guy who was a quarterback, you know, I'm curious as to your thoughts.
Dude, pay them.
Yeah.
Pay them. Pay them and the backups. Not just like Jordan Love. Like, the dude proved he could pay. But you saw the issue last year. There was 12, 13, 14 starters that got hurt. And these backups that they're paying, they're not paying enough. Now you see a lot of teams in the league going out and getting backups. But when it comes to Jordan Love, like, I'm a huge Jordan Love fan. Took him a little bit to get going, but really, him and LaFleur really like meshed well together. And look, Jordan was out here in San Diego. I'm in San Diego, training this entire offseason with Todd Durkin, who Drew Brees trained with, I trained with, because his girlfriend is a professional volleyball player for in San Diego. And so we got to hang out quite a bit this offseason. And that was really the first time I had any interaction with him. And man, like, you can just tell, like, we worked out a few times together, played some pickup basketball, like just shooting around. Like, the dude is an amazing basketball player, by the way. Don't worry, Green Bay. He wasn't going like too crazy, but dude can shoot. But when I tweeted this a while ago, but when I actually worked out with Jordan, it reminded me a lot, the intensity, the enthusiasm, the focus of Drew Brees, because I worked out with Drew out here for a really long time. And Jordan was so locked in on every single movement, every single scenario, every single situation, had a really good routine out here, from throwing on the field to coming and getting body work to working out. And I think that's awesome. Like, for me, like, when you just turn on the film, it's crazy, J-Mac, to think that the Packers have hit it right on the head 3 times in a row, from Favre to Rodgers to Love. Like, I would imagine that this contract gets done, it's going to be north of $50 million. I would imagine between $53 and $55 million a year, and he's well worth it. But if you look at that, it's going to look like a bargain in a year or two.
Yeah.
And with the quarterback play the way it is this year in the National Football League, really all year, there's maybe 14 to 16 guys that you just really trust, maybe less, that you really trust to just go out and do their job, and they can play at a high level. And if not, the other 16 teams, you're looking for that guy constantly. Green Bay, you have that guy right now. Pay him, because it's going to look like a bargain 2 years from now.
That's a great point. What about Tua? Is he in that group? Because he's kind of up for a deal as well. Trevor Lawrence as well.
Yeah, I mean, I would 100% put Tua. I think Tua fits that offense perfectly with Frank Smith, who's the actual offensive coordinator. I was with him in not only New Orleans, but with my time at the Chargers, and obviously Mike McDaniel. Everyone that knows there, he can roll. Like, he's going to get paid too. In my opinion, I think Jordan Love is the better potential prospect if you look 5 years from now than Trevor Lawrence and Tua. So I think, in my opinion, that Jordan Love deserves more money for them. It just depends on when Green Bay wants to do it, how they want to structure it, right? You can talk about, hey, here's $200 million or $235 million over 4 or 5 years, whatever it is, but how much guaranteed money you're going to get? How many years is the actual contract? All these agents out there want to look good, but I would imagine that Jordan Love, in my opinion, if I had to pick, it'd be Jordan Love.
All right, I'm finding a quarterback. There's no way you like this guy. You can't like everybody. You can't want to pay everybody, Chase. Let's go to Daniel Jones and the New York Giants. Rough go for Daniel Jones last year, obviously coming off the surgery. They kicked the tires with Russell Wilson. They signed Drew Lock. They interviewed, I think, every single quarterback who was in the draft.
They did.
Listen, there's no way you could possibly. I'm not asking you to totally take a dump on the guy, but listen, Daniel Jones is not a good quarterback.
Yeah, I mean, look, at the end of the day, he hasn't played up to par and up to his contract that they gave him a year ago or 2 years ago, whatever it was. And there's a reason that they go out and they sign my guy, Drew Lock from the University of Missouri. Okay, that's why he left Seattle, because he was pretty much guaranteed an opportunity to compete with Daniel Jones to be the starter. Look, they gave him a $5 million guaranteed deal, $3 to $4 million in incentives. You don't do that if you think that Daniel Jones is going to be the quarterback the entire year. Now, it wouldn't be surprising to me if Daniel Jones actually started the season as the starter, because it doesn't put a lot of onus and a lot of pressure on Drew Lock. But there's a reason you go out and you get a Drew Lock, and there's a reason why you do all this homework. And dude, I was on NFL Network draft coverage, and I was hearing that the Giants were willing and able and really wanted to move up for a certain 2, maybe 3 guys, didn't really get to them, passed them up. And so that just tells you really all you need to know about the situation. And look, if Daniel Jones goes out there and just tears it up for 10 weeks, then I'm glad for the guy. I just don't know if he's going to have that much of leeway to go out there and do it. I feel like if you mess up a couple times, if you have a couple losses, then I think the string's going to be pretty short, and the leash is going to be pretty short. You're going to put Drew Lock in there. And you look at like Mike Kafka and Brian Daboll. Like, Kafka came from the Chiefs. Like, I really like the Chiefs offense, like what Drew Lock can do in that type of offense. Like, that's something else where to look at, not just the Daniel Jones standpoint of things, but I wouldn't be surprised if at some point this season Drew Lock steps in and plays.
All right, so a couple more. So you were undrafted out of Missouri. You go to the NFL, and you knew you were going to be a backup. Now let's look at Michael Penix, who was phenomenal the last 2 years at Washington, wins every award possible, looks like a guy who's ready to step in. He's not like some 21-year-old kid. I think he's 24. And now he's told, you're going to sit behind Kirk Cousins for 2 years. How does Penix feel looking around at Bo Nix, who's starting in Denver? I don't know if Drake May's starting, but Jaden Daniels starting in Washington. Obviously, Caleb in Chicago. Does Penix have a right to be ticked off?
I mean, I think that Penix has definitely the right to be ticked off, but if I'm Kirk Cousins, I'm probably ticked off more. You're in the honeymoon phase of it, dude. Like Michael Penix Jr. is going to play at some point this season or next season. You don't draft a guy that high after paying $100 million guaranteed to some other guy. Like, it might be a 2-year deal, but I would agree with the assessment of maybe the Falcons that Penix Jr. needs to sit for a year or two and just get the vibe of the game. Like, I don't necessarily think if it's a good thing if Drake May just goes out there and just starts right away. You might hinder his development. And I put Michael Penix Jr. in the same boat. Now, J.J. McCarthy for the Vikings, he might be the day one starter. Jaden Daniels, he will be. Caleb Williams, he will be. They don't have a choice. Like, I told a lot of people coming out when I was breaking down these guys on my quarterback breakdowns and like going through stuff, like Michael Penix Jr. makes sense to sit for a year, be on that Jordan Love plan, maybe not as long as Jordan Love, but it just depends. Like, I just think the Falcons put themselves in such an interesting scenario because, look, you just pay your guy $100+ million, and the second that Kirk Cousins throws 2 or 3 interceptions in the game, that dome down there is going to get really loud for Michael Penix Jr. because the arm just jumps out at you. Now, he does, and I think all of these guys have a lot to learn about the pro game. But, man, that's just an interesting scenario to put these guys in. And especially, look, I know Kirk's going to handle it like a pro. He's going to go out there. He's going to probably play well. But my thing is, it's going to get really loud down there the first 2 or 3 interception game.
All right, last one for you, Chase. So I'm looking at all the teams you played for, and I was quickly just scanning the rosters of the quarterbacks who were in your quarterback rooms, okay? Is Justin Herbert the most talented guy you've ever been in a quarterback room with? And if it's not Herbert, who is it?
Yeah, I mean, my first answer is absolutely, like from an arm talent perspective. But I was also in a room with Matthew Stafford.
Yes.
And Matthew Stafford, dude, like we're from the same area in Dallas. He's my same year. The dude can sling it. But the thing with Justin that just really jumps out at you is his arm strength and just the arm talent that he has. And you look at, his first year where he ran Rookie of the Year, then the last two have been really, ribs and fingers and just like injury. If he stays fully healthy, like I'm thinking like for sure going to have a heck of a year and quite honestly might get the Chargers to the playoffs. And I think that has to do with a lot of coaching and a lot of right coaching. Shane Day is the person I want to mention here because Shane Day was in our court right there. He's their quarterback coach. That is Shane Day. And Shane Day was with him in 2021 and 2022. He was fired, really sent packing. And that was the one guy Justin wanted. He's the quarterback coach. Him and Justin have an amazing relationship. I guarantee you that Justin had a huge deal in getting him back here. He was in Houston last year. So I love that development. I love what Harbaugh brings in. Everything that I'm hearing out of Chargers camp is it's like, hey, we're like way more focused. We're way more like vision toward our goals. And it just has to do with coaching. Like Harbaugh, the thing about Harbaugh, and I hear this about him a lot, he wears on people the longer he's there, but he wins. And that's all that matters in the National Football League. So I love this match.
I'm sorry. You said he was fired. I just looked it up. So who fired him? Was it Brandon Staley after that playoff game?
Staley let him go.
Staley let Justin Herbert's guy, who he loved.
Yep.
He fired him?
Yep. Let him walk. And that's the year they fired Lombardi too.
Well,
yeah,
I get Lombardi.
Yeah, let him walk.
I mean, again, Lombardi. I'm not going to defend him. I don't know him.
Yeah.
But I would never get rid of Justin Herbert's a future of the franchise, and they fired his guy. And Harbaugh brought him back.
Fired his guy. Harbaugh brought him back. And I don't know this for sure and certain, but I would 100% think that like Justin had some type of say in that because Justin and him are like, I mean, it's a good match.
That's a good nugget. I was not aware of that. Chase Daniel dropping bombs on a Friday before a holiday weekend. Great stuff, Chase. Thanks for taking the time.
All right, guys. Thanks for having me on.
Hi, everybody. It's me, Uncle Colin. Subscribe here to get the latest from the herd, including exclusive behind-the-scenes videos and more, wherever you may be, however you may be watching. Thanks again for making us part of your day.